Hi everybody, and I've just got a short one today. This is about how we see the MBTI dichotomies differently and an explanation why. And it's actually quite straightforward and self-evident once I point it out, but it's not something we really think about until I've pointed it out. And that is that we think of the dichotomies as being something where we have a privileged central viewpoint and people are kind of very clearly left-handed or right-handed, for instance. That if you are right-handed, you fall into the field of sensors. If you're left-handed, you fall into the field of intuitives. And from that central vantage point, we can tell who's who. Well, the experience that I see out there in Reddit and in MBTI communities, depending on which ones you go to, is that people have very different viewpoints. That someone will casually mention that all of their INFP friends behave a certain way, or they might complain about that their INFJ friends all do this, or they've got a number of ENTPs, and so on and so forth. And in the meantime, I am here, and throughout my lifetime, being somewhat older and having traveled in a lot of circles, I have confirmed or with a fair amount of confidence can say that in person I've gotten to know in my lifetime one INFJ and one ENTJ. I've known maybe 2 or 3 ENTPs, maybe a half dozen ENFPs, but I'd have to think about which one's where. I've never confirmed for sure an INFP, but I have a lot of suspects. The issue being that I think INFPs are just hard to type because they can look like a lot of different things. And then I don't think I've ever met and confirmed in person an INTJ, a single INTJ in my lifetime. So what gives? On the one hand, you've got people in high school and college who've got numerous INFP and INFJ friends, and here I am saying, I think I know one of this and maybe 2 of that and none of the other. Well, it's as simple as this. To draw an analogy, think of when you're driving down the highway. Whatever speed you're going on the highway, anyone else who's going faster than you is a crazed maniac. And anyone who's going slower than you is a slowpoke who ought to get off the road. And that's regardless of whether you're going 50 or 80 or 110 miles an hour. You've got that mindset that it's like your personal bias plays into your viewpoint of what category people fall into. And so, yes, the dichotomy may be solid, but our own interpretation of it is a spectrum. Our own observation of behaviors is a spectrum. So we end up looking to ourselves, and if you believe that you are an intuitive but fall toward the sensing part of the dichotomy, then you would end up looking at a certain set of behaviors and maybe conclude much more likely, or that a much greater part of the population, because they're all to the right of you, will be intuitives. And the others that are on the other side are those few remaining sensors. If, on the other hand, you are deeply in the intuitive camp, then you would believe that the dichotomy is much further to the other side, and you find very few intuitives because you're looking to the right of you and there isn't much there. And then you look to the other side and there's the vast majority of the population. So I put myself in the latter camp, that I am aware that I have what I would describe as an intuitive bias. And that's an overloaded term. So in this case, I mean, because I see things from a certain vantage point where I believe that I'm madder than a box full of frogs sometimes, pardon the expression. Because of that, I end up seeing that most of the world is sensors, and then there's a large category of people that I just haven't been able to place yet that fall somewhere on the dichotomy, and I just don't know enough yet to say. And then very few, or relatively few, intuitives. But that is, again, my own personal bias. And who's to say where that correct center point is? Is it further to the left, so that there are more intuitives and fewer sensors? Or is it further to the right, and we have intuitives are few and far between, and sensing preference is plentiful? Anyway, that's just what I wanted to throw out there to say that this is one of the reasons our experiences are different in MBTI. And while I bring in sensing and intuition because that's the hot button issue, you can also say the same thing about introversion and extroversion, or thinking and feeling. If I'm a feeler and I believe I'm a thinker, then I might see that a lot of other types are also thinkers because they run to the right of me, and appear to be more thinky than I myself believe myself to be as a thinker. So it is all, unfortunately or fortunately, or just a fact of life, it's all going to be very relevant as to where we see ourselves, and use that to calibrate where we believe other people should fit on the various dichotomy spectra. That's all I've got, and thanks for listening, and bye for now.